Welcome to another episode of Project Dirty Willy. In this episode, we're going to install a MaxTow air pressure gauge, some Cyclones, some products from CH4x4. Like I said, we're going to install an air pressure gauge. It's going to go for the onboard air system so we can keep an eye on how much air we're actually running. This is from MaxTow. They sent this out to us. This is their Double Vision series. So we're going to take this over here to the bench, take everything out of the box, and show you what it comes with. So here's everything that comes in the package. This is the box, the MaxTow Double Vision. As you can see, well, this is a boost gauge they're showing on the front here, but it has your needle indicator, but it also has a little digital readout. You get your hardware, the wiring to power and operate the gauge, and then your wiring harness for your air pressure sensor. Some more mounting hardware, the gauge itself. Try to show it to you here without getting a lot of reflection. And then you get your hood that you can put over your gauge to prevent glare. And to install this, we're going to add an ADA circuit. You can get these from MaxTow as well. And we're also going to add a new fitting. This is going to thread into our air tank, and then it has a 1/4 inch fitting here that will allow us to keep our pressure switch for the air compressor. And then it has an 1/8 inch fitting here that will allow us to put in our air pressure sensor. So here's everything that we got from Cruiser Heads or CH4x4. We have an overhead switch panel that has a built-in voltmeter, and we've got 6 new switches, one of which is a custom switch, which you can get these made through their website at cruiserheads.com. You can pick through a whole bunch of different little pictures or logos or emblems, and then you can put your own text on there. And this one has a little garage and says garage door. I'll take these out of the package so you can see all of them. I flipped the panel over so you could see a little bit more of it here. You can see the voltmeter. I'll hook that up here in a little bit so you can see what it looks like. From first glance and just, kind of messing around with it a little bit, it seems like a really good voltmeter, but we're actually going to be changing this out for the air pressure gauge that we got from MaxTow, so we can keep an eye on how much air pressure we have. And we already have a voltmeter built into the A-pillar of Project Dirty Willy. And these are all the switches. As you can tell, we have some new products and stuff that we're going to be trying out. I just thought this one was kind of cool. So I've got to get some new wire ran because of the new switch box that I'm building. So that's kind of why this video is pieces and parts of a bunch of different products. Like it's parts of, the switch panel, the switches, the dome lights and all that stuff, because it all revolves around, this panel being in there and the new switch box that I'm building. All right, so now I'm going to show you what the voltmeter looks like. I'm just going to hook it up to our little test battery here. The colors are really nice. I'm not sure how it's coming across on camera, but the color and stuff is really, really nice on that. Then it fades out. I checked it against the multimeter, and it does seem really accurate. But like I said, we're going to switch this over to the air pressure gauge that we got from MaxTow. So here's one of those examples of why it's going to be quite a few videos put together into one, showing a bunch of clips here. This is just part of the new wiring harness for the new switch box. I've got the new harness all taped up and laid out. I guess I'll show you how it runs here. This will be at the switch box under the hood, and then it runs through the firewall of the Jeep, and then it splits off, and this one goes over to the switch panel that's by the console, and then the other end that splits off goes up to the A-pillar, and then it splits off again and continues up to our new switch panel that will be above the windshield. That's pretty much the whole harness. Got our switch panel all wired up. We've got all of our illumination wires, our grounds, and our powers. And then the other wires are for the gauge. I got all the switches and the new gauge installed. Let me try to get you set up in here somewhere to where I'm not gonna shake the camera around too much. As you can see, we have the MaxTow air pressure gauge installed. We have a couple switches here. Some of them are hooked up, some of them aren't. This one I wired up to a garage door opener. I disassembled a push button garage door opener and wired it to this. So all you have to do is hit this button and the garage door opens. I'll show you that here in just a minute. This one here is for our new dome lights. I'll show you those as well. This is our hazards. As you saw in a previous video, the hazards are the LED glow strobes that are in the taillights. So if I turn those on, you'll notice there's a little LED up here that blinks. This is representing the flash pattern of the strobes in the rear. Then of course our gauge again. We have a switch for some rock lights, but nothing is wired to that. We have some Footwell lights. Those are hooked up. I'll show you that here in just a little bit. And then we have our mystery switch. So these are wired up to the dash lights like all of the other switches. So if I turn on the dash lights, you can see that all of the bottom of the switches light up, just like down here. And over here, we have our power switch. When I turn this on, it turns on the voltmeter and the air pressure gauge for the compressor. So I'll go ahead and show you that. Looks like our battery is just a touch low, but not too bad. And then our air pressure gauge, it looks like we're only at 83 pounds of pressure. I haven't filled the tank up in a little while, so I guess what we'll do is we'll go ahead and open up the garage door, start the Jeep, and turn on the compressor so you can actually see the gauge work here. I'm going to press this, and then you're going to hear the garage door come open. Over here, I'm going to turn on the compressor. And we should go up to about 130 PSI. That's the pressure switch that I have is a 90, 130, so it kicks on when the pressure drops below 90 and kicks off at 130. This tends to kick off at like 129, or sometimes it'll hit 130 like that, and then it'll drop to 129. So I want to give you a look at the new dome lights that I installed. The camera will focus. There's a big light right there. These are the HiLiTES Cyclone LED lights. These are the clear / diffused lens on them, so they're not like as much of a spot. They disperse a lot of the light. So we have our switch over here for dome light. These things put out a ton of light. I'll get a shot of these without any lights on here in just a minute. And then you probably can't see because it's too dark. I guess I could turn on the night vision, there we go, you can see that there's another Casey HiLiTES Cyclone there, and there's another one in the same spot on the passenger side. It is all the way up against the firewall, kind of tucked up in there, so it's pretty much away from everything. Okay, I guess you can kind of see it without that. There's one on each side. I'll go ahead and turn those on and show them. We have our Footwell light switch. You can see that the Footwell lights up. Let me show you with it off. Then with it on. And most likely it's going to blind the camera, but those are the Footwell lights. As you can see, it's completely dark in here except for the parking lights, because I wanted to show you all of the switches lit up. Actually, let me turn on the voltmeter. The camera's going to have a hard time focusing on all these lights. You can see our A-pillar with the CH4x4 switches, our new overhead panel with the switches and the MaxTow Double Vision gauge, and then our bottom panel with all of our switches. I wanted to show you the Footwell lights. And then if I come down here and I add dome lights, you can see with the two of those, everything is pretty well lit up in here. Even if I stand back here, you can see how much light there actually is in there with the new lighting. And then I'll turn both of them off. That is the factory lighting, the factory dome light, and the little lights that are in the Footwell. So you can see there's quite a difference there between that and that, or even just the dome light, or just the Footwell light puts out more light than the factory dome lights. A huge thanks to CH4x4 Industries for all of the switches and the switch panel, and a huge thanks to MaxTow for sending out their double vision air pressure gauge. I also want to thank Best Connections. You can check them out at 12voltwire.com. They are the channel sponsor for all of the wiring. So all of the wiring used to wire these switches and the dome lights and all that stuff came from Best Connections. I try not to, ramble on a whole lot about channel sponsors and stuff, but we've been really fortunate over the beginning of this year and then throughout last year with picking up channel sponsors and stuff. For a channel of this size right now, I think it's pretty awesome to have some of the sponsors that we do, so I do try to thank them as much as possible. So I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm over endorsing these people. I really feel that I need to thank them for sending these products out. So that's it for another episode, and I think I'm done rambling at this point. Hope you enjoyed the video. I think I've already said that. So if you're new to the channel, or if you came across this and you're not one of my subscribers, make sure to go into my channel, check out a couple other videos. If you find a video that you like, hit the like button. If you have something to say, leave it down in the comments. And if you find a couple videos that you like, make sure to subscribe to my channel.